Bonjour, je m'appelle John Hoffer. Je vous présente ma région, New Orleans. Le sujet de ma présentation, c'est l'influence française dans les musiques de la Nouvelle-Orléans. I'd like to start this presentation by giving a brief introduction of New Orleans. New Orleans is the largest city in Louisiana and is one of the country's most important ports, a major tourist resort, and a medical, industrial, and educational center. New Orleans boasts a population of about 380,000 people and is a major grain port in the United States and worldwide. Other exports include raw and processed agricultural products, fabricated metals, chemicals, textiles, oils, petroleum, tobacco, and paperboard. The decision to found New Orleans was made in Paris in 1717 by John Law's Company of the West, which had taken control of Louisiana that year. The colony's new proprietors envisioned New Orleans, named for the French regent, Philip II, Duc de Orleans, as a part of deposit, or transshipment center for a future trade from upriver in the Mississippi River Valley. The main economic staples grown in the vicinity of New Orleans were tobacco and indigo, which were made for export, and rice and vegetables, which were grown for local consumption. The first residents were a colorful mixture of Canadian backwoodsmen, company craftsmen and troops, and convicts. Not only was New Orleans heavily impacted by French settlers and culture, but there was also a large push of German and Irish immigrants who arrived in New Orleans in large numbers in the 1840s. Before I start talking about the music scene in New Orleans, I first want to touch on three words that are going to be brought up a lot. The first being Creole. The word Creole, in reference to a people, is from the Portuguese word crioulo, which means native to a region, by way of Spanish and French, and often associated with populations of mixed ancestry in the slave trade and plantation sphere of West Africa and the New World. The first Creoles are associated with the ancient regime of France and then Spain, but this meaning shifted in practice to include people of non-European origin, and especially those perceived as having multiracial mixed ancestry. Typically, former slaves or those with non-European heritage would coin themselves as Creole as a way of forming their own identity, community, and culture. The second word I want to bring up is Cajun. Cajun is a term relating to anyone who is of European descent, especially French, and who resides in the southern Louisiana Bayou area and speaks a specific dialect of French. Zydeco is the third word I want to bring up, and is a music genre that originates in southern Louisiana and is a result of the dual influences of Cajun and Creole musical influences. Zydeco music is a creolization of Cajun tunes, aka waltzes and two-steps, African American blues, and Caribbean rhythms played on accordion and violin, with Creole or French vocals and a rhythm section augmented by hand-crêpe frottoir. The term Zydeco is from les haricots, aka snap beans, in local etymology. Zydecos are also the dance events and parties held at Creole clubs throughout southwest Louisiana, on westward to Houston, Texas, and now in urban California. These Zydeco dances bring together the full range of the Creole community, men and women, young and old, urban and rural, and those who identify themselves as more African American or French in cultural orientation. The contemporary Creole culture of the region was formed primarily through contact between African and French peoples. Alongside the Cajuns, with whom they overlap culturally to a degree, African-French Creoles are significant in terms of group size and settlement areas, and, for our purposes, their particularly influential expressive culture. This is the symbolic aesthetic realm that includes Zydeco music and dance, foodways, and Mardi Gras celebrations that express the complexities of the Creole's ethnic identity and consciousness in multiple contexts. Cajun and Creole share Francophone origins and are most commonly referred to respectively as white and black French-speaking people from Louisiana. Until the 1960s, Southwest Louisianians did not categorize their music as Cajun, Creole, or Zydeco. Instead, they referred to it as musique française, or French music, without systematically assigning it to a specific ethnic group or music subgenre. The French versus American musical distinction was a significant factor. Throughout the 20th century, Cajuns and Creoles have unarguably shared common music traditions. Historically, two musicians embody the shared heritage: Creole accordion player Amedee Erdoin and Cajun fiddler Dennis McGee, both sharecroppers who recorded together in 1929. They were tremendously successful for 20 years, playing in local dance halls and house dances, and Erdoin is now considered the father of French music by most local musicians, no matter which subcategory of music they identify with. A product of multiple influences, the French repertoire never excluded other styles, and French musicians typically follow trends in American music. The period after World War II saw the emergence of swamp pop among Cajuns and Creoles alike, often described as a hybrid of New Orleans rhythm and blues, country and western, and Cajun and Creole music. This style appeared in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana, leaving an enduring mark on the French Louisiana repertoire. Until the 1860s, the fiddle was the lead instrument. Often, twin fiddles played, one leading with the melody, and the other seconding with harmony or chords. The diatonic accordion took over later, and was played along with a fiddle and a rhythm section composed of a guitar, a percussion triangle, and a washboard. In the 1930s and 40s Western swing, with its string bands and steel guitar, it exerted a strong influence on French music. Many popular songs were sung in English, while others were translated into French. Among the most popular bands were Leo Saloy, the Rainbow Ramblers, the Hackberry Ramblers, and Harry Coates. Zydeco music, now strongly associated with Creoles, was influenced by French music, blues, and rhythm and blues. Zydeco bands include either a piano or a diatonic accordion instead of a fiddle. And unlike Cajun music, where the melodic element is stronger, Zydeco features a strong rhythm section. In preparation for this presentation, one of the singers that I found very enjoyable to listen to was Fats Domino. Fats was an American singer and pianist, a rhythm and blues star who became one of the first rock and roll stars and who helped define the New Orleans sound. He was born on February 26, 1928 in New Orleans, and he died on October 24, 2017. Altogether, his relaxed, stylized recordings of the 1950s and 60s sold some 65 million copies, making him one of the most popular performers of the early rock era. His piano playing consisted of simple rhythmic figures, often only triad chords over a boogie pattern, forcefully played and joined by simple saxophone riffs and drum afterbeats. These accompanied the smooth and gentle swinging vocals he delivered in a small middle baritone range, with even dynamics and a slight New Orleans accent, all of which made Domino one of the most distinctive rock and roll stylists of his era. Personally, my favorite of his songs are Jambalaya, On the Bayou, Blue Monday, and Margie. I definitely recommend you check them out. Below are all the sources I used in this presentation. Thanks for watching.